Now we have a pleasant environment in which the ball can start his journey. Let's have him start from stage left and roll onto the scene, then jump and land on top of the boulder, moving to the middle where he gets his bearings, cautiously moving to the side and falling over the edge, then jumping, bouncing again, and landing on the grass here. Create a new vector layer in the Layers panel. To draw the ball shape, choose the Draw Shape tool from the Tool panel and the Oval tool. Next, create a simple opaque style for his fill color, then create an opaque dark sepia color for the shape outline. Open the Brush panel and choose this brush. Check Advanced in the Style panel and set the line width to 2 instead of 3. Let's create a 3D shaded effect by changing the light angle, setting the first field to 12 and the second to 14. Using the Draw Shape tool, click and drag an oval somewhere on the canvas. Zoom in with your scroll wheel and drag with your right mouse button to bring the ball into focus. Press Ctrl-R to render a preview. Hit Escape to return to the main view. Since there's a little too much shading, let's modify the shading settings. Pressing Ctrl-R to render a preview, we can see that the changes weren't accepted. To do this, we need to select the Bucket tool, fill again, and then render another preview. Select the Transform tool by pressing T on your keyboard, and then move the ball to the left out of the scene view. Using the Add Point tool, add 4 more points. Then select the Transform tool and give the ball a more organic shape. Move the time slider to frame 1 and then move a point to set a keyframe. Set this drop-down to Smooth, turn on Onion Skins and set the onion skins for 2. Make sure these 2 entries are unchecked. Move the time slider to frame 12 and move the ball into the scene. Now move the time slider to frame 24 and move the ball to this position. Adjust the spacing of the onion skins by dragging to the left. Set this number to 3 and drag out another onion skin. We want the spacing of the onion skins to be more or less even. Advance the time slider to frame 36 and then move the ball as shown. Zoom the scene out with your scroll wheel so we can see the direction the ball will be going. Move the slider to frame 48 and position the ball here. Then move the slider to frame 60 and position the ball here. We now have an evenly spaced set of keys from which to build upon. Scroll the time slider to see the animation so far. Change the looping point of the playback head by holding down Alt and right-clicking here. Playing back the animation at this point shows a rather floaty animation with not much expression. Adjusting the spacing of the keyframes will provide the correct timing and provide the expression that we need. Dragging through the first few frames of the animation shows that our ball needs to come to a stop before proceeding. Let's copy this keyframe and then paste the keyframe here. Then select and move this keyframe to this position. Drag a selection rectangle around these keyframes and move them to the right as a group. Now let's play back our animation. At this position, we need to produce a hold. Copy this keyframe with Ctrl-C, move the time slider, and then paste the frame here with Ctrl-V. To make this key position hold a little longer, select all 3 of these keyframes and move them to the right. Extend the looping point of the animation by holding down the Alt key and right-clicking here. Return the playhead to the beginning and play back the animation again. For the jumping portion of the animation, we need to produce a little more of an arc. Position the time slider over this keyframe and then use the Transform tool to reposition the ball. Drag the time slider to preview this change. Position the time slider over this keyframe and then readjust the position of the ball with the Transform tool. Let's play back our animation to check our progress. Although the general motion and the arcs are correct, there are some timing problems at the beginning and at the end of the animation. Let's start by adjusting the speed of the jump. Drag a selection rectangle around these keyframes and move them to the right. Hold down the Alt key and then carefully drag to the left, proportionally scaling the length of this sequence. Return to the beginning of the animation and then play back to see the result. We'll need to adjust the ease in and ease out of the end of this animation, and we'll do this manually. We need to begin the jump quickly, slow down as we reach the peak of the arc, and then speed up at the very end. Move the second keyframe closer to the first. By moving the third keyframe a little closer, we speed up the entire jump. By moving the last keyframe closer, the ball speeds up as it lands on the top of the boulder. Play back the entire animation and see what else needs to be changed. Of course, we'll need to distort the shape of the ball as it goes through the various phases of this jump. Right now, we're simply trying to adjust the overall timing to make it realistic. We need to improve the look of the small jump at the beginning of the animation by speeding it up. Drag to select all three of the first keyframes, press the Alt key down, and drag the last frame to the left, proportionally shortening this sequence. Things are looking better and better.